Good morning. Welcome to another edition of College Coffee Talk. Pearl and Andy Lockwood. Good morning, Pearl.
Good morning, Andy. Hi, everybody.
So we do the show every week. It's all about giving parents kind of the latest and greatest news or tips or sort of insider information on getting into college, on paying for college, on test prep, and really anything related to college, including whether or not you should go. And sometimes we touch on the politically incorrect third rail stuff, but it's really a show for you guys because we try to cover information that we don't think is seeping out to you otherwise, certainly not from guidance counselors or high school confidants, other parents, families who may be a little secretly or not so secretly, passive aggressively competitive, you name it. That's what College Coffee Talk is all about. So, Pearl, how are you today?
I'm doing well. And how about yourself, Andy?
Well, since we've already seen each other for coffee at 6:30, actually, you got up late.
I did. Slept in.
I don't have much to add. I'm about the same status quo.
Me too.
Okay. So today there was a couple of topics that we thought were timely to share with you guys. Pearl, do you have a cup of coffee? I neglected to get one here at the office. So, all right. So anyone joining us, feel free. If you're live,
you left home your mug.
Yeah.
Your Andy Lockwood mug.
Okay. So if you are joining us live, join us in a semi-synchronized sip with Pearl. 1, 2, 3. Sip. Slurp.
Cheers.
A little tradition that I don't think anyone really cares about except me.
We have a couple of interested traditions.
Let us know what you're drinking. Yeah, let us know what you're having. So the two topics today. One, I wanted to share some essay mistakes that were discussed, potentially committed yesterday when I was conducting the College Application Edge bootcamp session number 1. We've got 5 more coming up this summer between July, August, and September. And I think they're timely and important because we see them annually. It's like a rite of spring or a rite of summer. These things happen over and over again. So if you have someone who's currently in the process of writing essays for college or will be at some point in the near future, I think this will help. And I don't necessarily know that you're going to get this information from, again, the high schools, the English teachers, whatever. And Pearl, you are working your way through an appeal right now.
Yep.
So you'll give us a little insider look over your shoulder commentary on that.
Okay. So
why don't you go first?
Oh, I thought that's what you were saying.
I know I wasn't.
It felt like a lead in, and I was trying to be like natural about this and just go into it, but
I ruined it.
By all means.
Yeah.
Circle back to me when you had intended.
So let's talk about the appeal that you're working through, and let us look over your shoulder. And by the way, I think this banter is definitely what makes us a top, anywhere from number 2 to number 5 college planning podcast in the entire world.
Google it.
According to the internet. not based on reviews, apparently. But I don't understand what it's based on, but I just stumbled across that yesterday. So I don't know if you feel any different. I do. We're in the top 5. Yeah.
Exciting.
College
big stuff. Things are happening. And
yeah. We have that going for us, which is nice. The College Admissions Edge podcast, which some of you may be listening to this on, but if you are watching on YouTube or something, you can search the College Admissions Ed podcast on Apple and Spotify, whatever, and subscribe, and you'll never escape us. So, okay. Anyway, back to what's going on with this appeal. Give us the framework and take it from there.
So this is actually an appeal for a returning student. This is someone who is probably like a rising junior, I think. And since the time he started at his college, his parents have gotten divorced, and unfortunately, both parents' respective businesses have taken a tumble.
Let me jump in and interrupt. So, first of all, we get this question frequently. Once you get a financial aid award, is it for all 4 years, or does it change? And I think what you're assuming here with this example, just to spell it out for people, is that no, you have to reapply every year.
That's right.
And this illustrates one of the reasons. It's because shit changes. Pardon my language. Because
whoa,
yeah, I know we're gonna drop out of the top 5 college planning podcasts.
Let's have that scrubbed.
or climb to number 1 where we belong. So you have to reapply every year to take account for changes of circumstances. So
that's right.
So clearly that's what happened here. You've got divorce.
Right. And in this instance, there were 2 different big changes. And the thought you always have to have is whatever circumstances you are going to appeal with, those circumstances have to bear relationship to your ability to pay for college. Okay, that's the bottom line with all of your special circumstances. So in this instance, there are 2 huge circumstances. One, namely, that the parents have gotten divorced. Therefore, there are now 2 households. And unfortunately, simultaneously, both of their respective businesses so they're also now married and they're unmarried and they're filing separate tax returns, but their respective businesses have each taken a significant loss for various reasons. So both of those are big special circumstance items that would naturally go into an appeal. And what I'm working on now is doing the appeal, and there are a couple of points I wanted to point out. Your appeal, like anyone, right? First and foremost, did you know that when one gets a financial aid package, that is an offer? That's an offer that can be potentially negotiated depending on the strength of your appeal. The strength of your appeal obviously will be connected to just, how much does this change bear on your ability to pay for college, and how big is the change, and how well are you proving those changes? So this is important. Saying, oh, I'm divorced now, we live in 2 different households, our incomes are now terrible. Saying it is one thing, and proffering that as an appeal, but showing evidence as to that is going to be much more impactful to the financial aid committee if you now show by attachment your most recent tax return, for example. So in this instance, we're going to be providing the 2024 tax return to show the percentage of drop of income that went from the 23 to the 24, because the 2023, if you remember, tax return was the operative tax return that was required in the financial aid forms this past year for this year's aid year.
So wait, you have to provide that, don't you? You're saying it's more impactful, but aren't they going to ask for all that information?
They're ultimately going to ask. So anything, just in terms of, I'm just talking simply about the strength of a financial aid appeal. The more documentation and evidence of whatever it is you're describing that you have, and of course, the other thing you need to understand is if someone's going from a drop in income from $700,000 to $500,000 on a college financial aid form, that is not going to be meaningful in an appeal, because as to what one pays for college, that is not going to put that family in a need eligible spot. This family, on the other hand, so that's the other consideration. Everything's relative, but you have to match it to the very, very test that you're going to be under. Specifically, how much does it affect your ability to pay for college at this particular institution? And so it's, there are many, many things you have to consider when you're doing an appeal. It's not just, this is what's happened, give me my money. Okay.
Well, I think the other thing also, just to connect the dots here, to point out is that this information, that if you're just joining us, we're talking about, we're looking over Pearl's shoulder as she does an appeal for a family that at the time they filed initially for aid, which was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they were married and they had different businesses that were showing better financial aid results. Although one of them was based in Ukraine, right? So I don't know how well it was doing at that point.
Well, but it's worsened in that one, there's been no resolve. It's been that many more years of being with a non-income producing business. So you know what I'm saying? You have to get into the nuances, and there are a lot of details that could turn, so my training is as a criminal prosecutor. That was the first job I had out of law school.
Really?
And I had to prove cases beyond a reasonable doubt, and I had to do it with evidence. So you can have good cases and bad cases, but the strength of that,
that's law and order.
The case, it's not different here. The better and stronger case you can make to convince your audience, be it a jury, be it a judge, be it a financial aid committee, it's the same thing. You have to advocate aptly the very thing that is going to make the listener change their mind about your financial aid package.
Right. Anyway, so they wouldn't know this information otherwise. That's what I was getting at, because these things have changed, and the financial aid applications are pretty complicated and convoluted, but they don't ask you everything. So in this case, you're giving them new information that's sort of outside the box, the proverbial boxes, that have really significant bearing on their ability to foot the bill for college, like you said in the beginning. So I just wanted to emphasize that. Exactly.
And the second point I wanted to make, so point one, strength of your evidence and putting forward the best arguments you can make. Yeah. Okay. Point two, there is a procedure. This is now a law as of 2 years ago. Every college must have a procedure for which new information, special circumstances that come up, there's a way it's going to be heard and dealt with at that school. But the way in which a particular school requires that you provide that appeal information varies between the school. And it's not up to you to just say, well, I'm going to just write a letter and I'm going to mail it, or I'm going to email it, or whatever. That is not up to you. Every school, and like everything else, go onto the school's website. You want to look at appealing financial aid awards, special circumstances. And it is there that you're going to find that school's procedure, how they're going to want you to upload certain things. They're going to want you to maybe fill out their particular cover sheet online for appeals. Whatever it is, you have to follow their procedure. So too, before we even get to getting a financial aid package, when they are processing your financial aid forms, if they ask you for ABC, you have to give them ABC. Whatever it is, you respond in kind. You have to follow the procedure that the particular school you are applying to or appealing to, their procedure for how they want this information.
Thank you for sharing your prosecutorial training, Pearl, for the people. Yeah. That was great. All right, so we'll see what happens, but I think they have a powerful argument based on what you're telling me, and you never know what a college is going to do with that, because they have their own limited resources, and there's a lot of reasons why an appeal could succeed or not succeed that have nothing to do with the family's circumstances. But generally, if you're applying to schools that are basically generous and fair, then you have a better shot at winning a decent financial aid award or merit aid award in the beginning, and then later, if you need to go back and to the well and ask for more money, you've got a better shot that way. But look, there are some colleges where they're just not generous to begin with, and that's got nothing. Not getting money has nothing to do with your appeals or your arguments or your resources. Right. It's all about the college, and that's something that's kind of in flux right now too. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that as things develop in the college funding and admissions landscape going forward. Okay. Anything else on your insider, behind the scenes, Wizard of Oz appeal shenanigans before we go to the second segment today?
Not for this week.
Okay.
Take it away.
So, I'm going to talk a little bit about college essays. So if you're just joining us, I mentioned at the top of the hour that We are now, let's see, today's the 13th? 14th, July 14th, Bastille Day. Happy Bastille Day.
Happy Bastille Day.
Yeah. We should have had French roast.
We should have.
Yeah.
We went with Sumatra.
My, on another unrelated note, again, this is why we're top 5 college planning podcast.
Is this why?
I'm sure. Wait till I blow your mind with this. As I was finally reluctantly replacing our grill yesterday, the salesman at PC Richards, Tony, was talking about various things, and he told me that he informed all of his clients who were buying drip coffee makers,
yes,
that if they changed the language to French, the coffee would taste better. So that's a little nugget that I learned from Tony.
Really
helpful. Yeah, he's probably got one of the top 10, coffee drip machine podcasts himself. Mm-hmm. So okay, so yesterday we ran the first drafting session of our college application edge bootcamp, which we've been running, I think for 10, 12 years or something. And we're talking about essays in general. And every year it's fun to see and gratifying to see how kids come in with like no idea about what to write about on their essays, and all these different convoluted and half-baked ideas, and then gradually or quickly in some cases they're able to latch on to a big idea that is going to work and help them advocate for themselves when they're applying to college versus 50,000 other competitor applicants who kind of look the same on paper. That's what the essay needs to do. It's sort of the functional equivalent of an interview, because most college admissions offices don't do interviews anymore because they've received all these extra applications, but they have not staffed up because they can't afford to. So each admissions officer reads about 1,000 applications a year. So that's why the essay has to be interesting, right? So one of the concepts we talked about was sort of in response to a kid telling me, well, I can't come up with anything that's original. And I said, well, look, bear in mind that admissions officers read 1,000 applications a year. Each application might have, 1 to 5 essays. And many admissions officers have been working in that capacity for 3 to 5 years, at least. Some are career people. You're probably not going to come up with something original. So don't make that the standard, but instead think about being interesting, not original. So the way you're interesting is if you give plenty of detail and insight, because it is a personal statement about why you've been changed by a certain experience, or before and after, and particularly a thing that changed everything. Screenwriters call it the inciting incident. There's other terms for it, like a pivot point or something, but that's the type of thing that you need to be thinking about, as opposed to coming up with something that no one has ever seen before. That does happen occasionally, but I would argue that even our clients who wrote about a toilet, not really about a toilet, but opened with a story about a toilet a few years ago, Haley, not a few years ago, she's now graduated law school and she's an attorney. So this is a long time ago. But
quite a few years ago. Yeah,
someone must have written about a toilet also, not the way that she did, but the essay started with an opening line about we were out to dinner with family and friends in a crowded restaurant, and all of a sudden my dad picked up his head and shouted, "I haven't wiped in weeks." And the thing is that I didn't even shrug because I'm so used to this. And the gist of it was he had just purchased a Toto toilet, a robotic toilet, and he was like bragging about it. And Haley in her essay wrote, if you're not familiar, it's like a car wash for your tush. And the gist of where she was going was with the essay was that he's a very enthusiastic guy, and that's where she gets her enthusiasm. And then she talked about 3 different aspects of her enthusiasm, academically, athletically, and something else. And that helped her get into her top choice school and get a $33,000 a year scholarship. And then she graduated, did really well, and she continued on to the law school there, and also did very well. So don't think original, think interesting. And that doesn't just mean have a hook. It also means like share more details, about yourself, more personal details. Another mistake or misunderstanding is that the essay doesn't have to be about something huge. A mom said something to me really, really, really funny yesterday that I forgot to tell you. And when she dropped off her kid, and she was sort of expressing, I hope this really helps her because she's got no idea what to write about. And my daughter said to me, she was almost blaming me. She said, "Mom, I never, you were so good to me. You brought me up so well. I didn't have any huge obstacle to overcome. It's your fault that I don't have this." Which I had actually never heard that before. I thought that was great.
Funny.
Yeah.
Normal.
Yeah. Right. It's your fault, Mom. I can't. You should have come up with something for my essay when I was growing up. So in her case, this is what I told the mom, and this is what I told the kid. I was like, look, probably, I don't know, 95% of kids applying to college don't really have a big obstacle, like an after school special dramatic worthy obstacle to write about. There certainly are people who have, but and if that's the case, then you should consider writing about it if it's important enough to you to write about. Okay, but if you don't, that just puts you with the vast majority of kids applying to college today, and it's okay not to have something completely dramatic and show-stopping. It's okay to write about something small. So an example I gave, and I don't know if you and I talked about this before, Pearl, for the people, but you'll like it. So last year we had a client who was one of 4 kids, and her mom's a single, hardworking mom, and she's got an older brother who preceded her to college, who we also worked with, and now she is headed to college next year to an Ivy League school, which was very cool. And I think this essay helped her. Mm-hmm. So the essay was about making dinner for the family. So in brief, what she described was how dinner for her family, because her mom is so busy with a high-powered science job at a big pharma company, that they never had time to have family dinner. So dinner meant just like grabbing whatever was around, maybe mac and cheese, maybe eating stuff out of a box or ordering in or something like that. And she never really thought about that because that was just her normal, just like a fish doesn't know what water is, I guess, right? And she's just living in it until she took note of when they went over to their cousin's house for dinner, and the family was gathered around, and there was like bread and salad and a starch and a protein and a real meal that had been put out. And her first thought was, well, Mom, why don't you do this? And then she quickly understood that, of course, she can't because she's too busy at work providing for all of us. So she took it upon herself to learn how to cook and to make dinner. And so, first she went around to her siblings and asked, what they want. And they were sort of like blowing her off and didn't think it was so interesting. And then she tried making something that she, dragged out of them, and it didn't go over so well. It was pretty bad. Mm-hmm. But then gradually, she kind of hit her stride, and not just with the food, but she also noticed that now they were actually sitting down at a regular time and having conversations with each other and talking about stuff they were dealing with at school or whatever, and offering advice to each other. So it became like a new tradition. So that was a great essay, and it wasn't about anything overly dramatic. Right. Okay, so I love that one. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And the other one, which I thought was the other mistake, the third mistake that I wanted to talk about is just starting too late. So we had, I think, maybe 15 kids signed up to come this session, signed up to come into the office yesterday for the boot camp, and we had another handful online. What ended up happening was we probably got 5 kids to show up in the classroom, right, and I think 2 online. And right. And they're on the early side. We do have some other kids who are practically done with their essays, so that's also amazing. But for the most part, what
trains coming, trains going,
right?
It is.
Yeah, right. The college process is like a train; it comes and goes, whether or not you're ready. So here we are, Bastille Day, July 14th, 14 juillet, as we say en France, and we are probably 6 weeks away from school starting up again for many kids. Some down south start up earlier.
Yep.
A lot of kids have a ton of essays to write. It's the personal statement, it's the supplemental essays, some short responses, whatever. It's not uncommon to have 20 to 30 essays to write. It's a surefire recipe for disaster if you wait until the fall. Just if you're one of these kids who has all these essays and you wait until the fall to start, because spoiler alert, the first semester of fall of senior year is much harder than 11th grade. You've got hard classes, you've got your extracurriculars you're doing in school, you got stuff you're doing out of school, you've got, of course, like social stuff, family stuff, whatever, to then layer on top of starting from scratch the college applications. It does not serve you well. You will not write your best college applications and essays if you delay it. And many essays take several drafts, 5 or 6 drafts, to actually coagulate. And often that 6th draft does not look at all like the first draft, because the first draft may not have addressed the ultimate big idea that you want to get at in that 6th draft. It might have been between the lines, or after you wrote it, you may have been walking around the house or something, and then your subconscious brought something to the forefront to help you write these essays. So my point is that if you don't start early enough, you won't give your essays enough time to breathe in between drafts and to let that subconscious mind gurgle up some sort of problem or phrase or something that just wasn't right, that was nagging you before you really could put words to it, to let that happen. So that is it. That's probably the biggest mistake. I mean, there's so many others in terms of tone and structure and whatever, but this is a relatively short show, and we want to keep this in the top 5 of college planning podcasts without going on too long. It would crush me if we dropped out of the top 5, Pearl.
Same. I'm aiming for the 1 spot.
Yeah, I think of you as number 1. I'm probably holding you back a little bit.
Oh, no, I think of you as number 1.
Yeah, that was very sincere. So I love you. Oh, sorry. So yeah, so I think in general, starting earlier is better. Kids aren't always ready to work with us or someone like us, but in general, you have to put on the big boy pants, big girl pants, and just get her done. It doesn't require 9 to 5 attention over the summer. You can still have a fun summer and go to the beach and hang out and whatever. But one of the magical, so that's sarcastic, one of the magical aspects of having these boot camps is that you're sitting on your butt from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. just writing. And the way we
getting it done, little by slowly getting it done as time passes.
And what we do is, and this is a tip for kids that you can try, is I set my timer for 33 minutes, and I say, okay, go, and then they work on their essays for 33 minutes. Maybe I meet with 1 or 2 of them in between just to go over stuff, and then when the timer goes, I force them to stand up, walk around, and for 5 minutes, and then we do it again. And then as the day goes on, by 1 o'clock, people have gotten a lot of work done. They've spent a lot of time, and it's something about a deadline, sort of magically makes you focus on, I got to get this done before the next break. And then you take a break, and you're able to do much more work than if you just sat there, from 9 to 2, hypothetically, or for 2 hours at a time. It's much better. So when I ask people at the end of these sessions, did you feel like you got a lot done? And then they, either they're giving me lip service or they really mean it. And based on what I saw yesterday, they really meant it. And then I said, did you feel like it was, like pulling teeth? Was it that hard? They no, the breaks made it seem a lot shorter. So that's a tip. If you have someone who's struggling, with writing an essay, or you are someone who's struggling with writing an essay, try that. Because if you're just sitting there looking at a blinking cursor on your laptop, and you're like, but you will have a deadline, and that will force you to write something. So, okay. I think that should help. Pearl, that was the last of my commentary. Do you have anything you want to close us out with until next week?
And just, you are not going to have that same freedom of time in the fall if you are saying, oh, no worries, because you feel the relaxation of the summer and you're like, I'll just do it in the fall. But besides the fact that you are going to have your schoolwork to contend with, in addition to the applications and essays and everything that goes along with it, which is more than whatever you think, your fall semester senior year grades, and this wasn't true when we all went to college, but that fall semester senior year grades seems to count more than the rest, or it counts a lot. And
it can.
Admissions officers, especially with the early decision things, with the early decisions candidate, a lot of times the admissions decision will turn on the fall semester or mid-semester grades. So if you are not all in focused on your schoolwork in favor of the applications for admissions, but now you're compromising that admissions by doing too much at once and therefore not giving your work the proper amount of time and care, or your college essays the proper time and care and application, it's Bastille Day. It's the middle of July. You have the opportunity now. Do it now.
Everyone knows when Bastille Day is. You don't have to say middle of July. It's insulting. Kidding. All right. Well, Pearl, that was certainly top 5 college planning podcast level advice. Probably top 2 or 3.
Thank you.
Yes. Merci beaucoup, as we say on Bastille Day. Thanks for watching or listening or semi-listening, rolling your eyes, or hopefully enjoying these little sessions we do every week. College Coffee Talks, 10 a.m. on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Lockwood College Prep, and recorded and uploaded to the College Admissions Edge podcast, which you can subscribe to at least on Apple and on Spotify and probably other places that we don't know about. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll be back next Monday at 10 a.m. Bye-bye.